Hi, I'm Adam and welcome to First Man Photography on what is just a beautiful last day of spring. However, I think there's going to be a lot going on. It's going to possibly get a bit frantic as well, because as the sun goes down, I just can already see compositions absolutely everywhere, and I'm not going to be able to capture it all, so it's just going to be trying to make the best of this fantastic location here in the Lake District. So I'm only going to use one lens, I think, as well, and try and just get at least 2 or 3 really nice images. So I would love it if you would come with me. Before we get going today though, this video is sponsored by Lexar. If you need fast and reliable SD cards, look no further than Lexar. If you saw last week's video, you will have seen me talking a little bit about the sort of slight anxiety I've been feeling about going out again and doing landscape photography, particularly by myself. And I think it makes a big difference actually when you are doing things by yourself, particularly where you're sort of putting yourself out there and climbing mountains or doing lots of exercise or doing things a bit out of the ordinary. It's so much harder when you do it by yourself, and I chickened out of doing a wild camp the other week. So I really wanted to fix that. And that climb today was really tricky. I'm not particularly fit. I'm carrying a lot of weight, but it was fun. I feel great now that I'm at the top and starting to get my confidence back again about wild camping. It's forecast for a really nice evening. Some of this cloud could be really interesting as well. So I'm quite excited about the photography, but in the hour or so before we get to that sweet spot, I'm going to set up camp. I found a nice little spot just here. If you stand up, it's actually really windy, but when I get down low behind this wall of rock here, it's nice and sheltered, so it should be a fairly peaceful night. There is one issue with thunderstorms being absolutely everywhere today, except where I am in the Lake District. So I'm hopeful that that forecast will prove true. Otherwise, I'll be packing up and making a hasty retreat off this mountaintop. So yeah, but there we go. I'm looking forward to it. Right, let's set up camp. I've got about half an hour until the golden hour, essentially, which I think is when it's all going to happen. So I'm going to take the opportunity to cook my food because sunset's so late. I'm going to be too hungry, and I've done that climb, so I want to get some food in. I am going to be heating it in the Alpkit brew kit. This is just a very cheap version of the Jetboil, essentially, but really, really good. And I'm going to have 2 sachets because I think I've earned it. I'm going to have a chili with rice, which is pretty good, and an all-day breakfast. The dehydrated meals are pretty good because they're really light, but these ones I prefer because if you have some sort of water shortage or an emergency, you can just eat these cold straight out of the packet. So I prefer these ones, and I think they probably taste just a little bit nicer as well. It's pretty good, and the view makes it better than most meals, really. Right, so I'm fed and watered, and I'm set up for my first shot of the evening. As you can see, that cloud has broken up just a bit, and that sun now is just absolutely beautiful. I've got a few things I'm thinking though, because when I got here, I was originally drawn to those mountains over there, which includes Scafell Pike, the highest mountain in England. What I like about the composition is the form of those mountains just looks beautiful, because it's almost like we've got 3 layers, and I think it's the layered element that's giving you that little bit of depth. And it's slightly triangular with some nice lines going through it as well. With that warm golden hour light hitting it, it's just adding a whole nother dynamic element to it, which is making it work didn't have any light on it a minute ago, and it just didn't work because those forms weren't being exposed by the light. It was just all blended in because we're bringing the 2D world down. Sorry, we're bringing the 3D world down into the 2D world. So we need to be able to see the depth in it, and the light does that in this case. So I have that first row of mountains, then that other one that sort of guides us around, and then the much bigger ones in the distance. Now, I also have some really beautiful clouds above that, and for me, it's always about using the 70 to 200mm lens in the mountains like this. I mean, I think that's beautiful. It's difficult to make something artistic out of that because it's just a case of point and shoot, essentially. But with the 70 to 200, you can craft something. You can pull some detail, some shape, some form, some lines, some interesting light out of that shot. And that's what I'm trying to do here. So with this lens, I'm nice and close. I've got all that shape, all that stuff I'm talking about, all that good stuff. But then it's screaming square crop to me as well, because the mountain here, all that crag there to the left, and the one to the right, very flat. I don't want that in. It's not as appealing in the frame. I'm just loving that light. It's so nice. I'm at f8 because everything is in the distance. I don't need a big depth of field. It'll all be in focus at f8. 1/200th of a second, I've boosted the ISO up to 250 to give me that shutter speed so the camera is still, or I get a nice sharp shot because I've got it up on this neck just because my back's hurting a bit after the climb. So I want it at eye level, having that shutter speed, freezes that motion, nice sharp shot as a result. So that's it, 2-second timer, focusing on the nearest mountain to me. And there we go. That's really nice. See this as well. These are the kind of mistakes you make when you are filming and photographing and camping and doing everything else all at the same time. I was complaining about stability of the camera and the lens, and it's because I've put the wrong quick release thing in. If I'd put that one in, it would have been much more stable. You can see it wobbling about there as I'm shooting video. Silly mistakes, but there's a lot going on. That was a beautiful evening in the end. Even if the photography wasn't the best I've ever done, it doesn't really matter. I enjoyed it all the same. But as you know, this video is sponsored by Lexar. Now, if you need an SD card that is fast, reliable and high quality, then look no further than Lexar. I've been using Lexar cards for many, many years. It's recording this right now and they've literally never let me down. Even when I dropped one in the water in Wales, it came out the camera and was just working immediately, unlike the camera. Also, Amazon Prime Day starts on the 21st of June, tomorrow if you're watching this when it comes out, and there are deals to be had on Lexar SD cards. So go to the link down below, give Lexar a bit of love for sponsoring the channel, and grab yourself a deal on these fantastic SD cards from Lexar. Good morning, and you join me on a very, very beautiful morning. However, I didn't have the best night's sleep because, do you know when I said yesterday that the tent was kind of in a little dip where it was protected from the wind? It wasn't. The wind must have changed direction or something in the middle of the night because, it was noisy, and as the wind gusted, it kept waking me up, so I've not had much sleep. But I don't really mind because it's just so stunning this morning. Although it potentially isn't going to give me that kind of stunning image I was hoping for. There's a shot here that I sort of found last night, and I think it's worth taking because there's some nice wispy pink cloud above the bigger mountains just there. And I also like this little pond tarn thing here. So it's very straightforward. I've just gone for a wide angle of about 20mm, and then I am shooting down onto the tarn. That's in my foreground. I've got that little peak of the hill I'm on, which is nice. Then contrasted against the bigger mountains in the distance with the pink sky. So there's not really anything complicated going on. I also don't think it's going to be the greatest image ever, although I think it's worth taking because the clouds are pretty. It's all very, very pretty. It's just not the most dramatic light, that's all. Settings, 1/4 of a second. It's f11, ISO 100. Yeah, and that's it. Isn't anything more complicated than that really. 2-second timer, take the image, and it's nice enough. With a little bit of editing, it could be okay, but I'm not massively excited about that one. But it is just past 4 o'clock in the morning, so when I get it back and edit it, then I may feel slightly different about it. But waking up in these places is just, it's so rewarding, and I just feel so fortunate to have access to all of this and the ability to do it. So I'm so glad I did it. I'm so glad I pushed through that bit of fear that I was feeling, and right now I'm feeling really, really good. I'd love to hear your comments down below. Hit the like button as well, and yeah, that's it. I think